Okay, we're wrapped up on this project. What I want to do is recap a couple things, give you just a brief history on this project and why we called it Ponds Gone Wrong. The homeowner actually contracted with a contractor to come out and build this feature for him. Well, they weren't totally satisfied with it, yet they tolerated the pond for over a year. And then they called the same contractor back, had him come out and do some modifications and rebuild it. The second time the thing was rebuilt, the waterfall wasn't built right and the stream wasn't built right. So ultimately the pond failed, and yet the homeowner continued to just tolerate it and deal with it. Well, when the leaking got so bad, they called us out so we could assess the project and figure out just exactly what was going on. And of course we showed you all those things, but what I want to do now is show you how we fixed them all up and how the pond's ultimately different and better. Right here, the waterfall filter, we use this nice accent boulder to create a nice looking waterfall. Behind the waterfall here is our waterfall filter, biological filter. And the contractor used a big fat piece of slate and they put it right on top of the spillway, and ultimately it dams the water up and the water can build up taller inside the filter. So what we've done is we've installed this accent boulder just down low enough to where it makes it look natural, but we didn't create a damming effect and we're not going to lose water out the sides of the waterfall. Okay, the original feature, one of the failures in the stream was they created a wishbone, which is a double stream or a stream splitting around a small island or a rock or something. So they created that effect, and ultimately one of the sides failed. When the homeowner called up and said, hey, my pond's leaking, they abandoned that section because it was the problem. They just abandoned it, but they left all the liner. They didn't make the landscape usable. So what we've done is we've created a wishbone effect for the customer. We've removed the old section where the liner was so we don't get any mosquito larvae growing in there. And we've made this whole section of the landscape usable so you can have these nice pretty red flowers draping down over this section. Okay, I want to talk about approaching this pond and interacting with it. Beforehand, there was just a lot of rock work here and you couldn't get up close to the pond. So what we've done is we've made this little approach here so that you can get up right next to the pond, you can feed the fish. We put these two character boulders here. You know, you could sit on this, put your feet in the water, but more importantly, we've made it real accessible so you can interact with the pond and the fish. All right, we're going to talk about the skimmer location here for a second because it's really important for me to have some kind of planter behind the skimmer so it helps disguise this whole area. This is the area where you're going to get in, you clean your filter, your skimmer net, and your pads and brushes and such. But it's important to have something behind it to kind of take your eye away from this plastic stone. It's plastic, but it still looks, you know, natural, but it's still plastic. But you don't want to put a big old chunk of rock over here because otherwise you're not going to get in and out of it to work on it. So just do a nice little planter behind here. Plant something to pull your eye away from it. You know, right here we have this verbena. This verbena will fill in and actually creep over the top of this, and it's real easy to move around. You can just pull it aside like this, get in and work on the filter. So we've given it some room so it can kind of take over here. Okay, what we have here, this is our electrical station, where before you could see it across the way, you could just see this big tall piece of wood sticking up with a transformer mounted on it. So what we've done is we've put an outcropping of stone here, we've put a nice colorful bush, and we cut this piece of wood down, mounted the transformer on it right behind the electrical, and we actually even have our little aerator station back here behind here. We're going to touch on this retaining wall for a second because it was a real issue for me aesthetically. What happens when the contractor before didn't use enough larger stones on this wall, you'll see that we put some larger stones mixed in with some smaller stones instead of just a whole bank of small stuff. Another problem with the retaining wall beforehand was there wasn't any room between this retaining wall and the waterscape itself for plantings, terrestrial plantings, because that's what's going to make everything blend in together and soften this rock work up. So as you'll see here, we have this verbena, and it's kind of a creeping plant, and it'll grow down like this, and we're going to have this plant grow down and touch this lawn area, and then we'll leave something like this exposed so you'll still see that boulder. You'll see that we also tucked some into this spot so it'll drape down into this little section, and this whole area will be disguised with, you know, or it'll be softened up, I should say, with this plant. All right, we're wrapped up on this Ponds Gone Wrong project. If you're thinking about having a pond professionally installed, I'm going to leave you with a couple of tips so you unfortunately don't end up paying for a pond 2 or 3 times like this homeowner did. Okay? One, if you're getting ready to have a contractor come out and show you some photographs of their work, when you're looking at them, Ask them if it's truly their work that you're looking at in the photographs. A lot of pond manufacturers supply contractors with photographs of beautiful ponds so they can sell more ponds, but it's actually not their work. Okay, there's tip number one. Tip number two is, you know what, say, hey, can we go see some of your work? I want to go see some of your work right now. Let's go see some of your ponds. You should be able to go out, the pond contractor should be like, yeah, let's go. I'll take you to a couple ponds right now. If you go out to a property and you don't absolutely fall in love with that particular pond, you should probably ask to see another and another. I mean, go until you find something you fall in love with. And then you can have that contractor emulate something similar in your backyard with of course, you know, some design changes to make it an own signature to your property. Those are the two most important tips that I can give you if you're getting ready to have one installed, okay? We have piles of information on our website about pond construction design. Please feel free to visit us and check it out. I got to get off to our next pond project, but if you want to get featured on our show here, then you need to send us some photographs of your work, and we just might end up in your backyard ripping it out, showing a pond's gone wrong, turn right.